And so why I'm excited about this next person, and that's the angle that I want to take with her. This person is responsible for helping hundreds, if not thousands of people fill up Facebook groups with, yes, their ideal customers, but more importantly, the people who they can now help solve problems in their life. Whether that's being a parent, whether that's with really fighting for what's going on in our world today around racism, whether it's around marketing, whatever it's around, the more people, like I had to have her come because I'm going to go backstage with her after this. I'm going to say, Rachel, I need more people in Rise Up World. We've had 175,000 people opt in to be a part of this community, but we didn't do it organically. Organically means like, how do you build it without having to spend a whole lot of money? And Rachel, I'm excited because we've been tackling what's going on in our world. I appreciate your post. I got to read it last night. And so for the next 20 or 25 minutes, I would love to jam and sharing with this community how they can build their own groups of followings so that they can solve more problems in our world, Rachel. So Rachel Miller, the expert, one of the best out there on that. I love her heart. I love who she is. Welcome to Rise Up World, Rachel.
Thank you so much for having me, Pete. This isn't a difficult time because I know how those of you who are listening, I was scheduled to be on here for weeks and weeks. So we didn't know that this was going to be the time and place for us. But I believe just like I'm called to be here in this time and place, every single one of you, Rachel Weaver, Emmanuel, Shirley, Sharon, Alina, all of you were called to be here in this time and place. And right before me, you got to hear Todd, who talked about how there's a problem, but we have to accept the problem before we can bring about the solution, right? And what I want you guys to know is, yes, we have to accept the problem. We have to believe in the problem and be there to serve the problem. But for us to serve in the problem, we have to have people there to hear from us. And we also, I think at this time, I did tweak my speech a little bit. We also have to be sensitive to how we craft a story. So those of you who are listening right now, am I the only one? Raise your hand if if I'm not the only one. Like literally, guys, come on. I want to see like some type of virtually raising my hand, Rachel. I also struggle with knowing how to frame my story when it comes to the hard conversations. Am I the only one who struggles with how do I say those hard conversations? I'm going to help you right now with my framework, but this framework not only helps me create those hard stories that I did one yesterday that kind of went viral, but it wasn't my intention for it to go viral. My intention though was to get the hard story out there. So I want those of you who are listening right now, hands, feet, yes. If you had a hard time with stories, because you're going to use those stories to build your audience. Okay. Before we begin there though, do you want me to just jump in, Pete, or do you want to
jump in? You jump in. Okay. I'm listening. I'm taking notes. I mean, look, I already got like all these notes right here. I'm taking notes.
Yahoo. Okay. To begin, guys, I want to tell you a little bit of our framework. Okay. So our framework is something I call engagement stacking. So if I want to get the word out about a problem that I solve, one of the things that I need to do is make sure that I'm putting that content out in a way that people are able to hear it and people are able to respond to it. People are able to engage with it. If I just put out long posts about Rachel, people aren't going to necessarily engage with me. If I just put out ads about the benefit of my product, people aren't going to engage with me. If I just talk about them all the time, well, they'll engage with me because I'm talking about their favorite topic, but they're not going to buy from me because they don't know who I am. So we have to stack our content. And when I stack our content, we stack it with 4 different pieces of content. Okay? Photos, videos, conversation starters, and then the thing that you're driving traffic to for you. Notice, guys, only one of the 4 is something that's for you. And I like to think of it almost like a stack of pancakes. So I put it on a pancake plate. So the first one, sorry, let me get my markers all out. I don't know where my other marker went. We'll just do, there we go. I'll just do this one. Okay. So the first one, photos. Photos get lots of likes. Those are the hearts, the hearts, the thumbs up, the smiley faces. We want the likes because the likes mean that we can invite someone to like our page. We need those. We need likes. So when I'm creating a post about a problem that I'm seeing in the world, I want to create that post to get thumbs ups, smiley faces, care face signs now, hugs, even anger signs. Okay, I want to get what I call micro reactions. Those are the hearts, the smiles. Micro reactions, thumbs up. Okay, but that's not all. We also want view time. We want someone to scroll. If it's a long post, scroll and go through it. We want someone to then scroll through the comments and view the comments. That increases our ranking, even if they don't talk to us. Even if they don't talk, we know we're getting in front of them. We're having that dialogue, even without them having to engage, because they're scrolling, they're stopping, they're watching the video. That is a signal to Facebook that I'm valuable to them. And in this climate, in this climate, guys, we need, especially right now, to be sensitive to the fact that some of our audience, they're still trying to figure out the words to say. They're still trying to figure out the words to say. So we want to value this kind of content. This would be long form content and also videos, because that brings in time that people engage. So if you go to my profile right now, you'll see a post that I did on my profile yesterday. It's getting very large reach, even in circles where people don't agree with it, because what they're doing is they're reading the post and then they're reading the comments. So a video does that as well as those long posts. But that's not all the type of content that we need. We also need comments where people talk back and forth. I'm making this one neon yellow because for me, it's kind of the most important. And a little star next to it. It's almost the most important. It's when you have someone who values this discussion so much that they're going to engage on it. They're going to take in action. They're going to put some skin on the game and say, I'm with you here. This is me too. I'm going to raise my hand. I'm going to add some value to this discussion. Anytime that you have someone who leaves a comment on your page, you're going to be more likely to have your content in front of them again in the future. So when you like, that's like 1/6 of a signal. I'm just picking a number out of the head. I have actually done this stats, and in the past it was 1/6 and 1/10. But guys, it's been a while since I've dug the stats up, and we're due to do that again. We do it like every 8 weeks, so it's changed since then. But you need like 6 thumbs ups to equal a comment. And so for us, we want to get more of those comments because that's going to bump it in the feed. Another thing like a comment would be tagging someone or sharing with someone, sharing with something even over Messenger. So if you find a post that you know resonates with the problem you're seeing in the world and you want to be part of that solution, but maybe you're not comfortable enough to put it onto your profile because you're not sure that fits you that closely, you can still bump it up in the rankings by sharing it over Messenger with someone you know this would speak to. You're also, that's one of those things, that's a big way to get it going farther. Okay, and then the last pancake, okay? But it's the one soaking up all the syrup, y'all, okay? So the one on the bottom, it's soaking up all the syrup. It's the good pancake. That one is when you sell. That's where the moolah comes in. But if you go straight to the sale, you're going to miss all of that engagement that you need to convert your audience to believing that you understand the problem, you understand the solution, you're the vehicle to the change, you're going to make a difference in their lives. Okay, so I want you to not jump right into, I put out an ad of my program without going through the nurture sequence. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go through here now. So this is part of the content, but now with the content, we need our content to tell a story. So this doesn't quite go together, but like, imagine you're fishing with pancakes. I actually went fishing once with pizza. and I won a fly fishing contest. And then they checked my lure, my bait, and found out that I was using pizza for my bait, and I was disqualified. So that was a stinger. I didn't read the rules. Everybody else was using flies, but I didn't like touching flies. So anyways, okay. So imagine you're going fishing. Okay. When you're telling your story through photos, through videos, through conversation starters. Even your story of my product is going to make a difference in your life. Okay. If my product's going to make a difference, you're telling those with a story. And this is the story that I use in my content, but I also use it in my Facebook Lives. Okay. I want to have a hook, but my hook, guys, is a manifesto. It's not a what do they want as the bait, because guys, the hook is not the bait. Okay. The hook is what gets them to to bite into the line, right? The bait is the thing that's interesting to them. They're two completely different things. So in this, guys, we want to have a manifesto in our content. Up in the front here, whenever you're making a conversation starter, you're going to make a conversation starter that says, have any of you seen this as a problem right now? Because I know we can be part of the solution. That's right there, using a manifesto statement, but still a conversation starter. Or a video. There are three different myths in the world. These are what they are. And we believe here as a community that if we slay those myths, our empires will rise. That's a video idea, right? We're going to start with a manifesto of what they believe and what they're believing in their hearts. Okay. A photo example of that would be the one I did with my boys the other day. All lives matter isn't true. That's not a statement we need to be saying. That's something I said. Guys, I don't know if you guys know this. I have a multiracial family. I'm not multiracial. I'm in the sense I'm white. So I can't relate to what people of color and Black people think and feel, but I do have children who are Black. So I do want what's best for them, right? So when I had that conversation and I said, stop saying all lives matter, that was my hook, right? Okay, that's my hook for me. I want you to think of the manifesto statement that your audience wants the world to say. You're going to say that in photos, in videos, in conversation starters. You're even going to say those with your ads that you're going to use to sell your products. Okay, so one's the hook. After the hook, then we have the connection. Okay, the connection. That's the line and the fishing pole. Because from the hook, how do you get to the actual fisherman? You get to the fisherman by the line and the fishing pole, right? So here's me, I'm fly fishing again, y'all. Okay, well, I was supposed to actually be holding the fishing pole, but I have it coming out of my ears. Just run with it here, okay? So the line connects the manifesto statement from my audience to me. How do I do that? Guys, whenever I'm telling that story, I want me to start with that manifesto statement. The world is a better place because of, and I know you believe this, because in your life, you've seen it this way, this way, this way, this way. You're bringing your audience into your story. I've seen so many people tell their story, but they tell their story starting with themselves. And to be frank, especially in this community, if I started the story about me and not about where people are, I'm going to come across extremely insensitive. Because, sorry, there's a truck delivering something in the background. So if you hear a big vroom, 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 bap, bap. Anyways, I'm trying to ignore it. Hopefully it's not too distracting. Okay, I want you to make sure that you're connecting it to the audience. So here's the manifesto. Here's who you are. How can you say you're part of that journey with me because you've experienced this way, this way, this way. And now, since I've told you how you are and that you're part of this journey with me, now I'm going to tell you, part 3, my story, my takeaways, my tips, my solution for you. Once I do that, I have the lure on, or I have the hook on the line. Then I make sure the line is set and I've got it reeled upright, right? Then I'm holding it. Only at that point do I put the actual bait on the hook. We don't put the bait on the hook until the absolute end, okay? Boom, boom, boom. The bait. And guys, your bait, it could be your call to action, but for most of us, it's saying that thing like, this is the thing that you want the most. You want that solution. So I kind of hold off on the solution until the end because I want them to connect with me and the manifesto to see the points that I'm telling them before I go straight into, here's how I'm going to solve your problem. If I go straight into my even you that are here, if I go straight into, here's the solution that I'm going to offer you, it's too fast, it's too hard, and it's coming across as insensitive, right? But if I have this whole structure of, here's a manifesto of what I believe, even in this really hard time, even when the world doesn't understand, even when I have friends and family who don't understand, this is what I believe, this is what we as a community are going to believe. This is how you've experienced this, even if you're a relative who's never experienced racism and don't believe it really exists anymore. Even you are there too, because you've had other times in your life where you felt this way. Now, put yourself in that situation. I'm going to tell you 3 ways that this still exists today, and we're going to help you with it. And then I mentioned the problem. You're still a racist. When you're not noticing the problem, even me, when you're not speaking up for the problem, you're propagating it, right? Okay, so that's, and I didn't mean to go all political on I probably should have checked with my head time. Mama Black here, sorry. That's the system. If I go straight into that discussion with a family member who may not understand what cashiers have said to my children, actual cashiers in actual grocery lines that are like, you're telling me my son's stealing? Like, no, he's a 3-year-old, whatever he's like, these black people putting all this food, and I'm like, no, excuse me, like, that's literally happened to me. I can't talk about the problem and the solution until I've connected them to it. So if I go too fast to here's the problem, here's the solution, we're gonna fix this, and this is how, it's tone deaf. It's coming across as an argument. But if I step back and say, okay, this is something that I believe. This is how you can see it in your own life, even if you don't currently share my views. And let me show you now about my own story. And now let me tell you, yeah, there's a problem and there's a solution. By the way, guys, if you're a business, I have the solution. Now, some people are saying that I'm lost. This is the framework. So let me actually just outline what this framework is. 1, sorry guys. Okay. 1, manifesto. What is your business's manifesto? That is your hook. Your hook is the manifesto. What's your business's manifesto? You're going to want to use that manifesto in photos. You're going to want to use that manifesto in videos. You're going to want to use that manifesto in conversation starters. The things that you believe. What are those things that I believe that the world is better when? One of my clients, she's awesome. She came to me and she's like, I believe, I'm a candy store and I believe in kindness. Okay. So she changed all of her marketing. I believe in kindness. I believe in this. The world is a better place when we love each other. Let's give gifts to make smiles happen. She's a candy store. She created a whole subscription box where you buy 3 bags instead of 1 now, because you're going to be kind and you're going to give. So you're going to give 1 to someone who's made your day, and you're going to surprise somebody with 1. So now instead of having 1 bag of candy she was selling a month recurring, she's now selling 3 a month recurring. And she did that because going deep into those manifesto statements that she believes, that she knows her audience is going to resonate with. Okay, so 1 manifesto, because that's your hook that you're going to use in all your content. Next thing that you're going to have is who your audience is. Connect your audience to the story. You are We are. You believe. You've experienced this. I'm not the only one, because you want to make sure, if you're going to tell your story, that it starts with who they are, because your audience doesn't know who you are yet. Even the ones that I've interacted with online for years, they don't really truly, they've not eaten dinner in my house, right? They're not ready to hear a story about me if it doesn't have any context or relevancy in their lives. So we want to have a connection. After the connection, guys, we want to move into the actual content. My story and my content. I made it number 3 because typically, guys, I want you to have 3 points. Whether you're doing a photo, you're going to say, here's point A, point B. You're going to do that with like emojis inside your text. Whether you're going to do that in a video, you're going to have 3 points. You want to have 3 points typically. And you're going to be your story and your content, your context of why this manifesto is true. And then after that, the last one is your CTA or your bait. Your CTA or your bait. Don't start talking about the solution until you've got the hook and the line ready to go. That's when we put the bait on the fishing line. Okay. So taking back from my past, this right here, guys, is our framework. You want 1, a manifesto, 2, a connection statement, 3, you're going to tell your own story, tell the content of why that's important. And then 4, talk about the solution and the problem and how you're going to help bring that for your audience. What is a CTA? A call to action. So if you believe with this, let me know how you think and feel. That's a very small one. You're asking them to comment, right? Another call to action could be click over and join my email list to get da 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 da. Or take notes with me right now, because that's my call to action with you that are on right now. Take notes so that you remember this. Why did I make them pictures? And pictures that are easy enough that anyone, even you, if you've never drawn in your life, can make them, because you're going to remember these pictures if you actually draw them. Like if you draw these pictures, they will be solidified in your brains. What is a bait sample? A bait sample would be.
You don't need to answer questions. We'll answer some backstage. They're not even supposed to.
Sorry, guys. I'm seeing somebody
off track a little bit back here in Zoom. So let me ask you a question. That's amazing. Amazing. I got the whole picture right here. So how do people give in? Because we've got about 5 minutes left, and I want to give the homework assignment, and then we're going to go backstage. How do people begin? What would a tip be to begin to build a group such as this? And I'm not saying that the capacity of this, but their first 100 or their first 1,000, or what would your words of wisdom in a few minutes be once they start doing this framework that you just gave us to start building their own groups? Because that's what we'll go deeper into that backstage, but for everybody watching, what would the high level be around that? Because eyeballs are critical. So
yes. With your personal profile, the way that you're going to grow your Facebook group is by friend interest list. Friend list, and also your bio link. Let me show you really, really fast where that is. So you're going to use your story and your content that you're going to put on your profile to create friend lists, and also to create your bio link. Yeah, I did type that right. Sorry. And after you've got that with your profile, then you're going to create your business page. And with your page, you can invite people to your group by just the people who are active. Invite active people. Invite the active folks from your page. There's a way inside your page. I can show you in just a few seconds. I'll go through each of these. You're going to invite them to your group. So you can create even Facebook Lives and put a button on the end of your live. It's a ninja tactic. And then from that button, you can boost your live, and everyone who clicks yes on the bottom with that button, because you know how sticky those are, they automatically get joined into your group. They get to join your group. They get an automatic invite. So there's a lot of tactics you can use organically to invite from your page. So 1, friend list. 2, bio link. 3rd tactic is inviting them from your page. I would also do an event or an opt-in. that you tease on your page. Okay, the next way to invite people is actually using other people's groups, but not in a way that's to poach. So what do I mean by that? People sit there and say, well, Rachel, most people don't want you to post in other groups. And I don't want to be a poacher. I don't want to be someone who's stealing from another person's group. And I don't want you to be that either. But there are groups where you can add value and build a relationship where then people come to you naturally for connections. So they're going to come to you and you're going to do this first they become friends, and then list. And then after they're on the friend list, then you go to your group. So it's a little bit of a step to get there, but you can get there that way as well. Okay, another one.
Rachel, so you would then probably provide value, like they're probably going to become friends because of some value you're providing, or no?
Yes. So I'm giving an example. I have three different Facebook groups that are not part of my Moolah business. So most people know me for Moolah Marketer, but I actually also run several other blogs in the crockpot space, in the DIY home space. I used to have a large one in the preschool space. So my DIY home space.
Let's pause there. She just said preschool, crockpot, and what was the third one?
DIY home. I also have done makeup and I've done essential oil. I've done like 7 different ones.
DIY, do it yourself. Do it yourself.
Yeah, like how to fix your garbage disposal.
So she's got groups around that, guys. She's got eyeballs. She's got people in groups of those 3 categories. So it just overcomes the objection that anybody could create a group of folks that are within their groups.
I don't care if somebody comes into that group and says, here's my blog post, or let me do a Facebook Live with a tip. Because my DIY one, they're just there to learn about how to get a hairball out of their vacuum cleaner. I don't really need to make that video. You're more than welcome to come in and make that video and invite them to join your group. I'm not threatened by that. So what I want people to know is there are some groups that welcome people coming in and sharing content. So it's not always seen as, oh my word, they're poaching. If it's seen as poaching, then that's not the place for you. Does that make sense? You can be in a group for a couple weeks before you see, is this group somewhere where I can come in and promote my content, or is this group somewhere where it's not acceptable for me to do that? There is a place where they're like, yeah, please, that would be such a huge benefit to me because I need that in my group. And then in those groups where you're able, you can share a video from your page, and then from that video, create a custom audience. And then from the custom audience, drive them to the group. So there's a lot of different tactics that you can use to grow your audience, but all of them, guys, all of them go right back to, you need to have the content, you need to have the story for you to be able to have something that your people resonate with, that they want to join that group.
I love it, Rachel. And I know we're going to hang out backstage here in a minute. And so I am so grateful to have you today, and we're going to hang out. So don't go anywhere. Like, this is such good info. Where can they find more out about you? Where can they find out more about Rachel, Moolah Marketer?
Yeah, my Facebook page is Moolah Marketer, and you can join my Facebook group where I give tips like this every single day, and it's called Grow Your Audience.
Yeah, grow your audience. So, hey, in the comment section, give some love to Rachel here and on Facebook. Give some love. And make sure that I want to know what your biggest takeaways were from Rachel. Like, what's your biggest takeaways? Because I love to be able to see that. And so, guys, this is what I want to do to end. Like, here is where the trajectory of today went down. Like, we have a real issue and a real problem in our world. And whether we've had that problem or we're accepting that problem, it is a problem. And Advance Your Reach and Pete, the Vargas family, are committed to being a part of the solution through our voice, because our eyes are open, our ears are listening, and we will be a part of the solution with our voice. And I'm inviting you, and we'll talk more about that in the weeks to come to be a part of that as well. And so we started there, but then Todd came and just broke down this framework that says how you can solve any problem through his clarity, decision, and why framework. And that's what the homework assignment is going to be about. Like, what should I do about X? You tell me what X is. It could be something in a relationship. It could be something with your health. It could be something with your business, your finances. It could be something around what's going on with racism in our world today. You determine what that is. And I want to know the clarity, the decision, and the why behind the decision. That is your homework assignment. That's where the worksheet will be around today. So be looking for us to post that in this group really, really soon. But here's the deal. This community is made up of people. I know this community. I feel your heart. I see who you are. And this community and this movement is made up of people who are world changers and that are solving problems every single day and that are providing solutions. And listen, what Rachel's talking about today is simply how do you get more people in a group to follow you and consume your content. Like, how cool is it that every week I have 8,000 to 10,000 people that watch this training every week, and I'm being able to provide solutions to you. Well, I want you to be doing the same as well. And so listen, we will be back same time, same place next week. I will tell you that there's some audible being made. So I'm not crystal clear on what next will happen next week, Monday, because some of the stuff that I'm doing right now in the midst of being a solution, we'll be talking more about, and you will see in some of our email communication about next week. But we'll be back at the same place, same time next week. Rise up, world. We've risen up once, and now I'm asking you to begin to rise up again and continue to rise up in not just the 7 areas of your life, but rise up for the life of other people as well. And I just want to tell you, I'm grateful for you. I thank you. I love you guys, and we will see you next week. Backstage, hang on for a second. We're going backstage, and guys, we can sign off of a Facebook. All right, backstage, we are here, and Rachel, these are some of our greatest peeps right here. This is our accelerators. These are our accelerators. They're world changers. They do a lot in the world. And here's what I would love for you to begin to dive into before we take a few questions, is I want them, and if you want to share your screen, you can, but I want them to tactically understand. I don't know what your thing is it at 100, at 1,000, but I want them to be able to understand how to build their groups organically. Like, give us some jam on what they can do to literally, and if you want to, like, Russell broke things down for us. He shared his screen. He went behind the scenes. Like, he kind of took us through the midst of that. But I want to know what they can do to begin to build their groups now that they've got this amazing framework that you've given to them. And that's the foundation. What can they do now to, I think you use a number, isn't it like 0 to 100 or 0 to 1,000?
We have a tactic to grow from 0 to 100, and then your tactics need to change between 100 and 5,000, and then from 5,000 to 50,000. After 100,000, there's another algorithm change, and then after 300,000 to change, and after 1 million to change. So I've grown pages into the multiple millions, so I know the changes that are required for each stage.
Wow, 0 to 100, 100 to, what did you say?
Well, 100 to 1,000 is kind of a little bit of an awkward, like there's just some awkwardness in there. And then you'll go down a little bit after 1,000. So when you reach that milestone, you'll see a little depression. And then you can grow again to 10,000. And then you have another little one where the algorithm changes. And then again, between 50, we start changing our system because we want to be ready for the 100,000 change.
Okay. So here's what I want to know. I want you to help people understand how to get to that first 1,000. Because I know a lot of these folks, maybe even that first 10,000. So whatever you feel, because you're the genius and the expert. And then I'm going to ask you at the end, what do I got to do to take this to 1 million? Because that's what I'm wanting to take this group to, is I've committed to taking it to 1 million. I feel like it's going to take me 2 years, but you might think differently. But we'll get to me last. Give some folks behind the scenes of what they can do. So guys, give Rachel some love.
Thanks, guys. I'm grateful to be here. Okay, guys, so right here, this is the actual framework that we're just going to walk through. I'm going to show you how to do each of these. So if we're going to start at the top, you can see we've got the friend list. I'm going to show you how to create a friend list. Then we've got the bio link. I'm going to show you where to put your bio link in. A lot of you are saying, well, like, what if groups are dying? This is something that you can use both to build a brand new group, but also to revive a dead group. So think of it like a party. If you've got a party and everyone there is kind of like sitting there, like looking at each other, what's the way to revive the party? You revive the party by bringing someone into the party who's the life of the party, right? You invite that friend, you know, that talks to everybody. You bring that person to your party to build up your party. That's what you're gonna do. Even so, this works even if your group is dead, even if your group is alive and doing well, but you want more life in it, or even if you're starting from zero and you want to have your party begin. So a good DJ, yeah, you get to invite your good DJ though. That's and you can invite as many of them as you want. Isn't that cool? Okay, maybe that's why I get invited to all the events. Well, you're making fun. Okay, let's go on in here, and I'm going to open up my page. I'm going to screen share with you. And we're just going to go through this entire list. So if you guys want to grab a screenshot of it, you can, and then we're going to begin. Okay, so the first one is your friend list. So to find out who is in your friend list, you're going to go to the left sidebar, and then underneath Explore, it's going to be there as friend list. If you have the new version of Facebook, I turned it off because it still has bugs, but if you have the new version, you're going to see it under a See More. You're going to see a See More, and then you're going to see on the left side, it's going to say friend list. When you click on your friend list, this is where you can find all the friend lists that you've created. You can also, if you're on desktop, create a list. Now, this is something, if you're on your phone right now, you're not going to be able to do it. So you're going to need to do this on desktop only. It's one of those hacks that's a desktop hack. If you have an older version, you may still be able to do it on your phone, but it ain't going to stay for long. So don't freak out when you lose it on your phone. Just know it's still on desktop. So you go to desktop, and here's the list that you can see are created. To add someone to a list, though, you're going to go to your page here. And I see here, she's going to be a friend. I'm going to add her to a list. So I'm going to add her to business owner. So Rachel right here, I've just added her to business owner. And now I can target her with content using just my profile because she's in a list of business owners. I can add, let's find another person here. Callie, she's a neighbor. So I can go here and I can add her. I can go to friends list, add her to a list, and I'm going to add her. I don't have neighbor on here because I guess that's not something I thought about doing. Okay. I never actually create content for my neighbors. So I didn't create a friend list for it, but no time like the present, right? So let me show you how you create a new friend list because I want to now make one for neighbors. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to create a new list and call it neighbors. And there we go. There she is. Callie is now tagged as my neighbor. If I want to create a post just for Callie, I could go in and say, when is the pool opening? Because that is something the entire neighborhood is like up in arms about. They shut it down because of the virus, and most of the neighborhood thinks that it doesn't matter. They still want it open. So there we go. I can say, when is the pool opening? But I don't want it to go out to everyone. I want it to just go out to my neighbors. So I'm going to type in right here, neighbor. And Facebook takes a nice long time on this one. Come on, Facebook. Come on. Eventually, Facebook will kick out a list, and then I get to click it and say, yes, it's going to go out to my neighborhood. Oh, there we go. There's my neighbors. And remember, this list only has Callie on it right now. So I'm going to hit save changes, and I'm going to post, and that post, only Callie gets to see that post. But here's another thing. Because it only has Callie in it, how likely do you think Facebook is to make sure that post gets into Callie's feed? Because it's highly relevant to Callie. I literally decided I wanted just Callie to see it. It goes out to her feed. You can use this system that I just showed you, not just to create content with your profile to specific lists, kind of like segmenting your email list, but you can even use this for things like stalking someone on their birthday. I do this where I make if my best friend, I made 7 posts that basically harassed her all day for her birthday. Happy birthday to you. And I sang it again. And then I sang it with my kids. And then I ate her cake in front of her since I wasn't with her, and sang it to her again. And so all day long, her feed was filled with Rachel Miller singing happy happy birthday. That's something you can use using the same exact tactic. Okay. So this tactic is good for you to build those relationships with the people that you want to. In this case, I made one for my neighbor, but I could also make this for a friend that I care about, or even for a post for all business coaches. So this allows you, how many of you guys have said, well, I don't want to post too many times today. I've already posted once. If I post again, well, then I'm posting too many times. If you do this type of system, they're only seeing the post that's relevant for them. They're not seeing all of your content. They're only seeing the post that's meant to be.
Rachel, what's the intention behind the friends list? Like, are you trying to invite them into your group? Are you trying to, like, if you're trying to build a group, if people are trying to build a group of 1,000 folks or 10,000 folks, would you kind of start with the friends list that's specific, that would be a perfect fit for that group?
How many of you have friends that are interested in all different types of things? What you're going to want to do is not invite everyone to your group, because if you invite everyone to your group, your Aunt Cindy, she's going to come, and she's going to come because she loves you, and she's going to be dead in that group. And then Facebook's going to look at your group and say, this group is for everyone and no one wants to talk here. So we're never going to suggest someone to come to this group. What you're going to do is you're going to make posts just for those people, and you're going to nurture those people, and you're going to invite just those people to your group after they've had a back and forth conversation with you. So you're not inviting them out of the blue to come to your group, and they don't know who you are, and they don't remember that you were their friend in college. And they don't remember. For me, the people from college are like, right, you have a social media business, right? Like, they need to have some interaction with me before I invite them. Even if they're my perfect person, we have to interact with them before we go right to that. This is your way to invite just the perfect people, not invite them one by one, but invite a big group of them all at once, and invite them with a way of social proof. But you're not inviting Aunt Cindy or your Uncle Joe or your second cousin who's just had a baby, and whatever that is, because we're still interacting as a personal profile, but just to those people. Does
Rachel,
that make sense?
yeah. So you're one of the most brilliant people I know. Like, a lot of people say that about you. You have, like, you're just brilliant. Her mind is, she's a brilliant human being. Like, you talk to any of my friends, they're like, this girl is genius. So I, on the other hand, my IQ is not super high. So I might ask you an elementary question here. So don't judge me for that. So let's say I'm trying to start Rise Up World today. Okay. And I'm trying to start it from scratch, or revive it, or add to it, whatever. But let's say I'm trying to start it from scratch. And I know there's a friends list of, here's all of my friends that would be a perfect ideal avatar to be in that group. Am I going to start by going and building a Rise Up World friends list, so that when I post to that group, I'm posting it around entrepreneur or the 7 areas that help them rise up? Is that what I'm going to go start by doing, by building my first group?
You're going to create content for them. That's a photo, a video, a conversation starter. And I didn't add this to it, but because I was only had so much time while I was on there, but you're going to want to engage with them 7 times before you move them to the next stage. So you're going to want to have them engage 7 times with you before you say, hey, by the way, I have a Facebook group. Because they haven't had interaction with you where you've been the expert in this. And so they need some time to get used to seeing you as an expert in this before they can move to that next stage. So interact with them 7 times, and then say, look, we've been talking all about XYZ, and I'm so excited that you love it as much as I do. So it's kind of cluttering up my wall. Why don't we move this conversation into a group? Now, you don't want to move them into the group until you have a minimum of 200 to 400 people to invite. So how do we keep track of it? How do we know who we can invite? Let's go back in here and I'll show you.
Yeah, let's do it.
So here's my friend list. I can go into my friend list here, neighbors, and you can see here on the right, I have 1 person, 1. So I'm not going to invite this person to a group yet. But you can see here, let's do coach. Where's my coach? Because I know there's a bunch of coaches. Here we go. This one has maybe 80 people. Yep, 86 people. So I know I have 86 friends right now that are in my, I'm still nurturing you, and you're a coach list. I want you to have between 200 and 400 before you start a group. Why? A lot of you are like, but I can start with 30. I know 30 people. They want to be in a group right now. How many of you guys have gone to a party and it's kind of quiet and no one's there? And then you don't want to tell the host you're leaving. So what do? You turn off notifications and you unfollow the group, and now you're in the group, but you will never see it ever again. Am I the only one who is in groups and they're just the dead? Like, I don't know all the groups I'm in. I'm like 500-700, I don't know, 1,000 groups maybe. And I'm not scrolling through, and I will never see some of those groups ever again. They're like onto the group graveyard, okay? It's better for you to wait and invite 200 because you're gonna have a critical mass. When you have 50 people who come in all at once, you better believe there's one extrovert in there who's gonna wanna chit chat no matter what, and they're gonna make sure that group gets to be alive. But if you start with 20, there's not gonna be a chit chatter person. Does that make sense, guys? You're gonna have a little less growth. You're gonna wanna start with 50 people. How do I guarantee my group will open with 50? If I invite 200. Because if I invite 200, generally 1/4 of them will say yes. It's because the other people, they very well could want to be part of your group. They very well would love you. They're probably your perfect people, but they didn't see your message, or they were busy and they saw it while they were in the grocery line and they said, yeah, I'll do that later. How many of you guys have opened a message on Messenger and then you can't find it again later? So don't assume that those 200 people that you've invited don't want to be there. It's just 1/4 of them are going to be in a state of mind that they can say yes. So I want to have minimum 50, or minimum even better, 100. So that's why I said 200 people to even 400 people before you invite them. That way you have enough of a group that Facebook's like, oh, there's 50 people are here all of a sudden talking. This is the place everyone should go. And then Facebook sends everybody else. And then you don't have to work as hard. So building up that friend list to 200 to 400 is actually the hardest part that you're going to do, but they're going to be your catalyst. So then later on, when they're all in the group and you like, hey, the group is feeling a little dead right now. What can you do? Take a group, a photo from the group or a post from the group, and you share it on your wall to everybody that's in that 200. Why? They're your catalyst group. They're those people who are trained from the beginning to be your founders to engage. You're going to get them to go right back in, and Facebook's like, oh, it's hopping again. Okay. So use those catalysts. Think of them as your catalyst.
Rachel, 2 things for you to follow up, and then we'll go to the next one. So can you only post on the wall? You can't send a DM to that list, right?
You can use DMs in the strategy. So that's another one of the strategies that.
But I'm saying with the friends list, can you send the friends list a DM or no?
No. But what you can do is create a Facebook room through Messenger with them. That's like a next level tactic.
Okay. And then the only other thing I was going to ask you is you know how like my algorithm of my friends, only like 6% ever see my post. Is that higher with a friends list? Like, do more of your friends list see a post in your friends list? Is the algorithm higher there?
Well, it actually can be lower. When you're sending a friends list out to over 86 people, it's going to be lower.
Really?
Because Facebook is realizing that you're using it as a marketer. If your friend list is smaller, yes. But that said, you can still interact. That doesn't mean it's not good to have 200 people in there. You guys know I want you to. I just said I want you to. So what I do to make sure that that's high is I go in here and I pick my list that I'm targeting for that week, and I interact with them back and forth. Because Facebook knows if I've commented on their page and they've commented on mine, that we're more likely to have an affinity to each other. So next time I post, they're going to be more likely to see it. And some of you think, well, this is going to take a lot of time. And I do this with 1 song a day. So I limit myself, like I don't want to spend all day on this task. So what I do is I turn on a song, and while the song plays, it's a song that I'm like Pavlovian trained. That song turns on, I start typing. The song ends, I stop typing. So I don't do this, don't get sucked in. You play 1 song and it's like this PVC pipe song. So it's not something I'm going to hear on the radio and then suddenly want to start typing while I'm driving my car or something, because it's not, I'm never going to hear the song anywhere else. So I turn on the song, I type, and then as soon as the song's over, I'm done. So don't let it get sucked into Facebook. Oh, I'm going to have to comment back and forth all day. No, it's just 1 song.
Awesome. What's the next tactic or strategy? Maybe there's 2 more you can go over.
I am going to be a little short on time because I thought I was going to be, I have it at 2 o'clock. So just so that you know, it's a hard stop, like 3 minutes before 2.
Okay.
If we can go over another one of these, or we can talk about matching content into this. Probably I'll go into the different ways to invite. So I'm going to show you how to invite from your page, but also from your group when you're beginning. Okay. So I'm going to go back into my page here. So I'm going to show you the different ways to invite. So here is my page. I'm pulling it up right now. My page is Moolah Marketer. And inside my page here, I can go to the left sidebar for groups. Now, if you're not on a standard page template, you're going to need to go to settings. Like if you've got a video page or if you've got a shop page, that means your page does not look like this. Your page does not look like this. Then you're going to need to go like where there's this thing and on the right there's this. If your page doesn't look like this one, then you're going to need to go to settings and change it to standard. Change it to standard, add groups, and then come right back, and you can change it back to video, because once you change it and put the groups on, it doesn't come off. So here's the groups, and I can go here to my group and I can invite people who've engaged recently on my page, and I can invite them. Now, just so you guys know, when I do this, they bypass giving me their emails, but that's okay because I've already engaged with them so many times on my group that they're the right person for my business. I am on my page. I've already engaged with them on my page, so they've talked to me multiple times on my page. Facebook is showing these people to me because they're my perfect people on my page. They're the highly engaged on my page, so now they're going to be invited to join my Facebook group, and they will bypass the email questions. I hit invite, and then these people were invited to my group by my page. That's it. Kind of cool. They all just got a notification in their feeds to say, come join my Facebook group. You guys can do this a couple times a day if you want to. And you can see here, I've got other groups here that I'm able to add people to. You can do this a couple times a day. So that's one way, one reason why it's really good to have high engagement on your Facebook page. When you have high engagement on your page, you get to invite people in. So here you can see, oh, I shared you earlier. Okay, Donna, thank you so much for hopping on. I love that. Okay, so I just invited people from my page into my group. Let's go into my group now, and I'll show you how we can invite from inside the group. So let's say you've got your 200 people on your friend list. You've invited people from your page. You now want to invite more people to your group. What do? Right up here, I'm going to say Pete.
There we go.
Here we go. I can invite Pete to my group, and you can see Pete Vargas has been invited to my group. There it is right there. Now I can even personalize it with a note. So I'm going to do, oh my word. Trying to think, I don't want to harass somebody that doesn't want to be a part of the group. Let's do Vinny. Vinny, I don't think will be harassed. And I'm going to say, hey, Vinny, missed your goofy face, barrel racing face. Okay, there we go. And I just sent him an invite, but I also sent it with a personalized message. So that he'll then see that inside of his content here. Now, another thing we can do is from here, we can also, I haven't done this in a long, long time, but we can invite them to our page. So that way you go back and forth. So you don't just want them in your group, you also want them in your page so you can retarget people who leave your group to come on back. But again, guys, that's kind of like a next level. Rachel gets all ninja hacky on the algorithm tactics. And I want to make sure we have enough time to answer questions.
Yeah. So Rachel, no, this is good. When you're saying you want people to engage on your page, are you talking about your personal page?
Yes, I want them to engage with my personal profile. I want them to engage on my page, and I want them to engage in my group. And I didn't put it on here, but I also want them to engage on Messenger and Instagram. So a lot of you, here, I'll sketch it out another way. A lot of you think of Facebook as I'm just going to put ads on my page and that's enough. Or I'm just going to interact on my personal profile and that's enough. But the reality is Facebook is an ecosystem. And the ecosystem includes all of these parts. So we've got our personal profile, we've got our page, we've got Instagram, we've got Messenger and SMS, and then we also have our groups. Not every business needs to be in all of these places. You don't have to be active on your personal profile with your business. You don't have to. You can be completely private. You don't have to have a business page, but it's going to be really hard for you to run ads if you don't. You don't have to be active on Instagram. You don't have to have Messenger. You don't have to have a group, but every business needs to be active in at least 3 of these places. So let's say you're not having a Facebook group. Well, then I want you to have a page, and I want you to be active on Messenger, and I want you to use your personal profile to interact with your people. I want you to at least have 3 of these. You don't need to have all of them, but you need to have at least 3. What the algorithm does is if you're just putting out content from your page, you seem like a loudspeaker and not like a relationship. If you're posting just on SMS, well, now you're like harassing your people, and Facebook will actually lock down your SMS because they want you to.
SMS meaning Messenger.
Messenger and SMS. They work together now with ManyChat. You're going to want to use a mixture. So the most common mixture that we see is groups and pages. Groups, pages, and profiles. That's where most people start, is pages, profiles, and groups. You want to start with pages, profiles, and groups. Pages so you can run ads, profiles so people can learn to trust you, and groups. So that's the most common triad. But the next one would be adding Messenger and adding your page, and then Instagram connects to Messenger, WhatsApp, and the rest too. And you can drive people back and forth between them. Does that make sense, guys? Call this the Facebook ecosystem, because you're going to want to interact with all of these. When my profile interacts with people, Facebook sees that, and now they're going to be more likely to see my content in their Explore feed on Instagram. When I interact with people in a Facebook group, my page is now more likely to show up in their feed. So you're going to think of this as basically you're building your influencer network, and it's a lovely little star of interaction.
I love it. Hey, Rachel, stop the share on your thing. Really
oh my word, I can't believe I was still sharing, guys. I am so sorry. Y'all just like yell at me.
No, and then hold that up, guys. So listen,
okay, I am so sorry. Yes, I was holding up an amazing drawing. It's the best chicken scratch you've ever seen. So
yeah, so
what
she's
laughing, Brian.
the top thing that she has up there is your personal profile, then a page right below it. Instagram right below that, Messenger or bots, and then groups. And what we're in right here is a group. So Rachel, I want to respect you got 12 minutes. I'm going to fire off questions to you from the top to the bottom, and we can speed around some questions, and then I'll close with one question. Is it better to convert your personal page to a group, business page, or start fresh?
You mean your personal profile?
Yeah,
your personal profile should be your personal profile. You should not be making it into a business or page or a group. It's your personal profile. Now, should you also have a page? Yes, you should have a business page. Should you also have a group? If you're a coach, yes. If you're selling socks, maybe, probably not. Like if you're selling physical products, yes, groups can be helpful, but it might be better for you to do a better follow-up sequence over SMS. So, or do a sock thread on Instagram and blow up a hashtag. So think about your business. Does your business need more of a community component or a social proof component? Like what is the system that you need?
That's great. Guys, I'm in the Q&A here, so we need to always be in the Q&A with questions. Great answer, Rachel. Second, hey, Boomy says, what's a great source or resource to identify the algorithms of how Facebook and Instagram work? And my question is, I'm going to follow it up. Is that important? So I want you to answer his question, like what's a good resource, but how important is that for us to be paying attention to? I don't know.
It lets you be lazy. When you're working with the algorithm, it's a lot easier to get your content out to the world faster with more impact and less work. And the resource I would probably say is my Facebook group or my Facebook page. I tell you any algorithm changes that I see. We do a scrub of all of content. We have hundreds of people who give us their data, and we scroll through that data and we compile it, and we tell you what's happening in the algorithm right now. I
love that. My question for Rachel is, the community I serve are women who are in relationships with emotional abuse. This is Angel. I can't engage the few groups that are domestic violence, trying to find groups to engage. Thank you.
Any group where they're talking about empowering women, or they're talking about what does that woman want the world to know, that they're usually, how do I say this? Usually I've noticed that people who are going through divorces or are in strong situations, they're following like motivational speakers and even marriage counseling things. So like Happy Wives Club, believe it or not, the people in that community are people who are going through divorces and are not happy wives. But what they want is a happy wife life. And so they're there because that's what their goal is. So think not of the problem, but where their aspirational goals are. And that's where you want to hang out.
That's awesome. That's great advice, guys. I think you answered this, but do these all need to be centered around your business? And I think that's the diagram that you just gave us, right?
Yeah. They're centered around what your person is. So your business is the vehicle to change, but you're going to center your community around your customer, because your business is only as good as the customers that you help.
Martin asks, how do you structure your account to address prospective new customers who have never seen the brand on Facebook, seen or interacted with the brand on Facebook, but already purchased from my brand?
Photo, video, conversation starter, and we have this whole structure.
Is that, yeah, that's what I was thinking, Martin.
Thank you for laughing.
No, well, they're all muted, Rachel. They're all muted. I keep them
I can see their faces. Yes. I can tell she's laughing with me. No, I'm not trying to laugh. What I want you to know is we covered that in the sense you're going to do the same things where there's no unicorns in the world. And what I mean by that is the same framework that you would use to grow when your people have bought from you 100 times is the same way you're going to grow from when they haven't bought from you yet, which is the same way that you're going to engage with people who are in your community and love you and they're just waiting for the shopping cart.
Somebody says, hi, Rachel. I work with, and it's anonymous. I work with suicidal youth and have struggled with suicide. How would I model a post about a virtual event I am having for them?
I would not, call them out for who they are, what the problem and solution is. I would instead frame it into the thing that they want from the world. So I've overcome pain. So everyone who's an emotional overcomer, because you're going to attract that person who wants to emotionally overcome. They haven't yet, but what they want is to emotionally overcome. So your group is people who are in the state of wanting that. And so you're going to attract them by calling what they want. If you say you're suicidal, then they're not going to engage on that content because their mom might see it or their husband or their spouse. And instead, don't call it the thing that their problem is. People don't want the world to know what their problems are. They're perfect. They're just suicidal. What they are is overcoming insane emotional adversary. They want their mom to know that. They want their mom to know they have emotional adversary that they're overcoming. So you want to say it in the positive form.
Rachel, that's so good. You're good. Rachel, how do you feel we should be willing to sacrifice the size of our following in order to share what might be controversial things in order to attract the right people who will potentially become our tribe?
Well, I think what you're saying is two different things. Are you asking, should I niche down to my people? Or are you asking, I have my people and I don't want to piss them off? But what I'm going to do is in line with my values. Well, I want you to know you need to always speak to your values. We don't get a pass on our values. If we give up our values, we've given up our soul. And what's the point of our business? Because we have three things in the world that we can't have taken away from us. One's the information in our head. Like I could lose my business tomorrow. I could lose my resources. I could lose a house. I could even have, heaven forbid, a car accident happens and I lose my children or something. Like I could lose everything. What I'm not going to lose is the information in my head, the relationships and the people that I love and care for, and the values that make me who I am. So don't sacrifice your values for your business. That's not going to ever end well for you or for your people.
I love that. I love that. When it comes to the pancake model, I love how y'all are calling it out. How many photos and videos and conversations do you do to your CTAs? Does the pancake mean that you have to have it look like a pancake on your feed? But
no, I just photo, video, conversation starter, whatever the heck I want. Photo, video, conversation starter, whatever the heck I want.
And how many, do all of them always have some type of CTA, right? Like post or comment or do they?
Not always. Some of my CTAs I want them to watch it. Yeah. So, I want them to scroll. And so that's something where I use emojis with like a little down arrow at different spots to keep people scrolling. It's not actually like my call to actions could be consuming the content, and those are really general, really soft.
A lot of people have asked us, Rachel, we're the final countdown of 4.5 minutes. A lot of people ask, is it good to boost a post? And what exactly does that mean?
I do boost posts. I argue with people all of the time about boosting posts. I believe that boosting is good because I want people who are my engaged audience to see me. I think a boosted post is so much more valuable to me in dollar ad spend than a like ads post, because a like ads is going to get people to like my page, but they have never commented, they've never seen, they've never scrolled. They're not actually real engaged fans. And guys, I can show you my page stats right now, and I can show you compared to like Amy Porterfield, Neil Patel, Social Media Examiner. My little page of 20,000 people reaches 2 to sometimes 4 or 5 times as many people every day than their pages. And that not because I have a big number, but because my 20,000 people are all talking to me. So my 20,000 people is small by social media experts or in guru standards, but that's because I'm not looking for fake likes. And so I do boosts because I want my people to talk to me. And so for me, it's so much more valuable for me to have 20,000 people talking to me every week than it is for me to have 2 million or 100,000 followers or whatever those numbers are that they have.
Hey, last couple here, because I'll answer the rest. Do you have a specific advice about what is the best way to create content that resonates with your audience, which I think you talked about the resonate, but what's the best way to create content without spending hours every day?
Oh my word. There's like that's a whole nother hour long.
Okay.
We have a system where I can help people make 100 posts in a weekend, but you have to there's a lot of groundwork you have to do to be able to create 100 posts in a day. And legitimately, we've helped people create 100 pieces of content from start to finish to it's ready to go. You're ready to schedule it. It's done in a whole day. That said, you had to do a lot of bumper sticker work ahead of time. You had to know your niche neighbors. You had to know what kind of, I can't fix that for you in a 2-minute.
No.
I'm sorry.
No. Hey, well, listen.
Can I fix it? Yes, but not in 2 minutes.
So Rachel, here's my question to you. A couple of pieces of nuggets, and then I'm going to let you go. So we have a group of we've had 175,000 people opt into this group. They submit with an email. We want to take it to 1 million people. And I would love to take some of your advice in the last 2 minutes to say, what are a couple of things that you would tell me to focus on? And I'm trying to think about how I make it easy for them to invite and track back to them somehow so that I can run contests on that. Like I would give away massive prizes. So I'm just trying to get your advice. What would you say to me? And we can take it offline, but what would a couple of things you would say to someone that's really trying to grow their Facebook group?
Refer a friend system totally works. Using gossip threads. So Pete, have you ever had a thread where someone complains in your group and kind of a thread that kind of blows up and not in a good way for you?
100%.
Okay, I have too. I actually take a screenshot of that and I send it out to everybody. Because the ones where everyone's complaining about me, those threads, everyone wants to see what the dirt is. And so y'all tell your friends, there's dirt here, and everybody comes to look at the dirt. And next thing you know, my group grows. I have thick enough skin, I can take it. So I publicize my dirt. I wish I had some more of them.
So gossip threads, refer a friend, anything else you would say?
Gossip threads, refer friends, inviting the pals, having them invite pals. Anytime that you get your group to have high engagement, Facebook drives more people. I have had Facebook send up to 4 or 5, even 1,000 people in a single day. That Facebook drove those people to my group because the group's engaged. So if you can get your group's engagement up, you don't need to worry about growing because Facebook grows it for you.
Wow, that's awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, on the dot, 3 minutes to the top of the hour. Give it up for Mrs. Rachel Miller. Rachel, thank you. You're amazing today. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. Bye, guys.
Bye. Hey, guys. All right. So let me tackle a few of these because we got through a lot of questions. Hey, Boomy, if you've hit your 5,000 person mark, you got to turn on the follow me feature now. Once you hit 5,000 people, they have to follow you. So right now I'm at 5,000. So on Facebook now people have to follow me because Facebook doesn't allow you on your personal page to go over 5,000. Cool. Hey, what's the difference between a personal page? That's your personal page. That's what Facebook gets you set up in versus a group. That's where we host Rise Up World. So the only thing that we do in our business is we have an advance your reach page. We have my personal page. We have our business page. And then we have Rise Up World group. And then we have some other customer groups as well. Those are the three I live the most in. I'm not as solid on Instagram or Messenger yet. Do you start from your personal page? Start from your personal page, Heather, just like she talked about. But what is the first group you want to create? Like, I want an engaged group. Like, if I had to do it all over again, I would do a group first versus a business page. My business page hasn't done hardly anything for us. Our groups have. I would be thinking about your group, everybody. I would be thinking about your group. Sorry, Rachel, I don't know about building a bio. Jen, I answered the difference between a page and a group. And so guys, here's something to be thinking about. Like, as I think about Rise Up World, and I'll end with this, because whether you're trying to build your first page, grow an existing page, or scale a page, so you guys see that Rise Up World path. Can y'all pin me, Jed, or whoever's on the team here? Can you pin me as the main speaker? I'm gonna pin my video or the spotlight. So what I'm gonna do is I am actually going to figure out, okay, so right now, that's about all I've done to fill it right there. I've used Facebook ads, I've used YouTube ads, and I've used other people's stages. On Thursday night, I'm on a webinar with Peng Joon. Some of you might have heard of Peng Joon. He has an event with 17,000 people, meaning I'm on this OPS. He's like, you can give away a free resource. No, I'm sending them to Rise Up World. That's where I'm sending them. All paths lead back to my group right now. This is a real strategy, which is why I brought Rachel. I wished I could have had more of her time, to be honest. We might need to see if she can do like a specialized training, because just so you know, her IQ is out of this world. Like, that's what I was trying to say. She's like 5 steps ahead of us. So I'm trying to think, Boomy, of all of the other areas in which I can fill this. So I'm asking the question, okay, Rachel's saying organic strategies. I'm trying to get clear on organic strategies. I'm trying to get clear on refer a friend. I'm trying to get clear on all these paths. And guess what? Guess who will be the first group to know as I figure out other paths? But as I figure out other paths, refer a friend, Facebook ads, YouTube, OPSs, as I figure out the paths, we as an organization are going to take one path at a time to see that it fills up. What you might not know is I actually sponsored emails. I paid sponsored emails from SCORE. Do I have anybody in here who learned about us from SCORE? Anybody that learned about us from SCORE in this group right here? Will you say that in the chat box for me right now? Any of you that learned about us from SCORE? I'm going down to the very bottom. So SCORE, yeah, so there we go. Andrea, and I'm going to get it. There's 3 of you, 3 platinum accelerators that learned about SCORE. Sponsored email. They emailed their database. It's a sponsorship agreement. Yes, we donated to them, but I also made sure that we got some sponsored emails. Well, Pete, why would you not sponsor email right now? Because we don't have like a challenge, or we don't have a way to subsidize that right now. April 5th through the 26th, we had a way to subsidize that. You guys know what I mean by subsidize, right? You know what I mean by subsidize. Offset the cost of that sponsored email. Guys, you do the math. There's 3 score people right here that came from this, from sponsored emails. And so all paths lead back to Rise Up World Group right now. Now, take off a couple zeros. The path to the first 100, the path to the next 1,000. I am going to find out from Rachel. I have her course, so I just need to have I need to go through it, but I'm going to figure out what's the key to going from 0 to 100, 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000, because this is the path that a lot of you guys are on. And here's what becomes beautiful. Like, listen, there were only, between here and inside Facebook, there were only 1,200 people live today. It was the lowest number we've had. I think it's because we got off track with the holidays last week. I think that threw us off track. I'm trying to figure it out because we've never been below 2,000 people. But the fact that I had 1,000 people listening on a Monday, that's crazy. That didn't exist 3 months ago at all in my business. So guys, this is what I want you to know. This becomes the path right here, and we're still figuring it all out. But here's what's about to happen, just so you know. You guys are the first to see this. It will release in the next couple of weeks. Actually have a meeting about this today, or maybe tomorrow. Now, this is not the most prettiest, but you're going to get to see what we're doing. So Rise Up World free, right? You go to riseupworld.com, you can see our page right now. We got some improvements to make on that. Step 1. Step 2. Rise Up World Challenge, April 5th through the 23rd, the course. Remember, you guys are all getting that in the next week. Well, the course is going to be $197 from April 5th to April 20. I don't even remember the days anymore. It was such a long stretch. But that evergreen course of most of those 65 speakers is now people are going to get 72 hours to get it for 97. I'm not finalized on these prices. Drop down from 197, meaning that it'll sell day in and day out for 197. What do you mean 72 hours? They're going to get 3 emails over 3 days welcoming them to the Rise Up World community, telling them what to expect, and letting them know what they missed in the April 5th through April 23rd challenge. I know that's not the right April. Was it April? I don't remember, but the 23 days. And then at the end of those 3 days, the price goes back up to 197. Some of you are seeing that, but it's to create urgency. I see some heads. Now, Pete, what does an order bump mean? I've made a mistake from not having an order bump. I've asked you guys to go through Traffic Secrets funnel just so you can see Russell Brunson has like a $37 order bump. So what could an order bump be in this? I say TBD right there. It could be, hey, for $37, get all of the recordings, or $57 or $77, get all of the recordings of Backstage from April 5th through April, whatever the dates were. April 27th, I think. That's an order bump. So it bumps the 97 up to even more. And then the team and I are talking tomorrow about what you call a one-time offer. Because they have bought the course and maybe the order bump, they now go to the next page, and you now can present a little bit of a higher ticketed offer, a 197 or a 297, and 10% of the people will take the OTO. Of those who bought the course, not 10% of everybody that opts in. This second step becomes so important because it subsidizes. I don't have to just do organic traffic. I can do things to actually pay. And then the next page is immediately the Facebook link. So if in step 2, they say, no, I don't want the course, it automatically takes them to the Facebook page link to come into Rise Up World. Or after they buy, it takes them to the step to come into the Rise Up World. And if all they want to do is be in there for free, they can be in there for free. But that's the group. That's why, like, I'm such a big believer in this community, literally building a group. I'm so convicted of it. And you could listen, Rachel could go live and she'll have 500 or 600 people, and she doesn't have a group of 175,000 people because her group is very engaged. So the whole other component of this is making sure that we can continue to engage this group. And we're asking a lot of questions about it. Like, do we turn off posts altogether? And do we just put posts that people can actually comment on that drives engagement around the questions we want because of how busy it's in there? Maybe. I don't know. We're going to ask some professionals of what we do with such a big group to get more engagement, because the more engaged, the faster that group grows, because Facebook loves engagement because it's good for them. It raises the value of Facebook. Which is why Boomy asked the algorithm question, which, Boomy, I'm just lazy. I shouldn't be lazy. I should know what it takes to have it increase the algorithm. So here's what I would say to all of you. That's a lot, but what I want you to have is a group. And then what I want you to have is organic strategies that fill this group, which is why we had Rachel. But ultimately, I want you to be able to have paid strategies that also fill your group that gets subsidized. So you're out nothing. It's the first time I think I'm saying it live. Anybody know how much we spent during Rise Up World on Facebook? I'm going to take a shot in the chat. Take a shot in the chat here. 10,000, 250, wow, 3,000, 75,000, 100,000. I don't know if I want that on the kill me. Sorry, I didn't say the number publicly. If you're hearing me come back on here, you should have been here live. And I've told this group what happens privately stays privately, so they cannot go share that with people. But the week that we did Tony, we did spend money because of the fact that the leads were so cheap that I'm like, I'm willing to do it because Tony Robbins is on here for 2 weeks. And maybe that's also a good reason why we had him 2 parts, although his interview was long. But now over 2 parts, we were able to do this. And so as we bring big names in, we can continue to promote those weeks. So I don't want to get too over the top. The purpose was a group, organically filling it, paid strategies filling it. That's what I would have to say to you guys. So I would be thinking about your strategies. I will see about bringing Rachel for a little bit more of an advanced training on it. I'll definitely check with her on that. Was this helpful, guys? Was this helpful today? Like, yeah, the group becomes the filler, man. Guess what we're going to do with the group when we launch Stage to Scale this fall? I guarantee you there will be hundreds and hundreds of people from that group that come into the Stage to Scale launch, which will be outside of that group, and they will become customers of ours. Same holds true. And I'm so convicted of this, man. I'm nurturing. Like, that group means a lot. Like, it's a big part of what we're doing. Not just the building of it and the filling up of it, but the engagement of it. I got to figure out how to simplify the engagement for people right now, which I'm going to have conversations about. So that's what I would preach. I'm preaching it a little bit more in depth. As soon as that funnel's up and running, you should go through it. Reverse engineer it. Like, take what we've done and just reverse engineer it. Guess what could be on the second page of your funnel? Your low ticket offer that we're creating right now in pivot coaching. That could be on, the thing when people opt into your group. And why are they going to opt into your group? Because they feel like they're going to get consistent value from you. And so if you go to riseupworld.com, we're trying to paint the picture of the consistent value that they'll get by opting in. That page is up. It's not final. I got a couple of hooks that are missing from it, but it's pretty dang close to being final. And then the second page will be where we take people into the upsell. So cool, guys. A little bit longer, a little extended backstage hours. Never feel like you have to stay. Because you guys have got access to the recordings. But yeah, we've made a core decision. By the way, we've made a core decision as a company not to sell backstage too. We're gonna open up a continuity program to Rise Up World where people will get access to the recordings, the worksheets, and in an organized manner. And there will be a lot of people that sign up for that. And we made a decision to say, no, we just want to keep backstage. We could sell backstage for a premium, but we've made a decision that backstage live with us for the rest of the year will only be platinum accelerators. That's it. That's all that will be back here. So just know that's one of the perks that we feel core a conviction of. But hey, listen, I love you guys. I hope that you guys did make, I hope you guys let Ron, I don't know if you were there this morning, a few of you, but I'm going to be hosting like a conversation with some of our community here, our people of color within our community. I want to host a conversation around what we can do to go lead the charge of change. And so if you have not, I want you in that conversation with me. I'm going to facilitate some questions. I'm going to shut up and I'm going to listen to what we can go to do to be that change. And so, and hey, accelerators, I'm going to ask you guys to get behind us, like get behind us in that. I know there will be a charitable component. I know that. And I also believe that we could host a little bit of a miniature challenge within the Rise Up World group. I just don't know what that miniature challenge looks like right now. And that's where I need you guys to help me create that. Like, is there a 3 or 5 day miniature challenge that we could facilitate that helps create some change in that? Because one of the things we'll do in Rise Up World, I don't want to confuse you guys, but do you know how you create mass momentum to get a whole lot more people in the group? And I'm not talking about what I'm talking about right here, but in the future, we're like, oh, let's do a Facebook, let's do miniature challenges within there to create a lot of momentum. I want to go create a miniature challenge in there right now to go create some change in the world and really help educate people. So we'll have that conversation. If you haven't let us know, like I'm asking you, I want you to be a part of that conversation. I'm going to really work hard to get it on the calendar this week. So make sure you email a platinum@advanceyourreach.com and let me know that you want to be engaged in that conversation. And we're going to be having that this week. Cool. All right, guys, that's it. I'm done. Y'all have an incredible week. I'll see you guys on Friday. I'll see some of you guys on, throughout the course of the week on Zoom. So lots of love.